Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Diesel Creek. My name's Matt. This big red building behind me is my dream workshop. I've been working on this build for almost a year now, or just a little over a year, something like that. If you haven't seen this project from the beginning, be sure you check that out. There's a link in the description for the playlist. You can see me take this from a piece of land like this with just trees and woods on it. We had to do a bunch of clearing, ground leveling, got a building finally put up. We poured some piers for a rail crane or a gantry crane or a bridge crane or whatever terminology you want to use for it in the last video. Now this video, we got a lot of work left to do before we can get this building closed in for the winter. And buddy, it is getting cold in a hurry, so we've got a lot of work to knock out. First thing we're gonna do, we gotta spread some gravel for the floor. I gotta run some conduits under the gravel so we can have those already in place before the floor is poured. After the gravel is in and graded out, we have to lay down some insulation board for our in-floor heat system to sit on. Then we have to run PEX pipe all through that, and then we have to bend rebar down out of those crane piers that we poured. And then we have to lay rebar mesh down on top of that. We've got to set some drain lines before any of that. I forgot about those. We've got to set some drain lines for some floor drains. What else? I think the gutter guy's coming in this video. Well, lots to do. We better quit talking about it and get right into it. Oh, and by the way, as you can probably imagine, this project is getting outrageously expensive, so a quick word from our sponsor. Psst, you guys want to buy some land? I get comments on nearly every video telling me, man, I would love to own a piece of land. So if you feel the same way, I have some great news for you. For a very reasonable price, you too can now become a landowner thanks to today's channel sponsor, Established Titles. Established Titles is a fun and novel way to preserve the natural woodlands of Scotland while helping global reforestation efforts. If you buy one of their title packs, you'll get at least 1 square foot of dedicated land with a unique plot number on a private estate in Edelston, Scotland. And you'll get this official certificate with a crest. So arguably the best part about this is that if you own land in Scotland, you're henceforth referred to as a lord or lady thanks to an old Scottish custom. I bought mine for my wife, so she is henceforth Lady Eva. Even though this is a fun and novel gift idea, you can officially include the title Lord or Lady on your credit card, your plane tickets, whatever else you'd like to. It's the real deal. So with every order, Established Titles plants 1 tree and works with global charities such as One Tree Planted and Trees for the Future to support global reforestation efforts. So, the first 200 people to purchase a title pack using my link will effectively be next to my title plot or within a few minutes of walking distance. These title packs make great last-minute gift ideas. I'm actually going to surprise my wife with hers for Christmas. Established Titles is actually running a massive Black Friday sale right now, so if you use the code Diesel Creek, you'll get an additional 10% off on top of that. So that's establishedtitles.com/Diesel Creek. Get your gifts now and help support the channel. Now, back to the video. All right, I just had to make up basically some big rebar staples, and I bent them into a U shape and hammered them down to hold the conduit down, because I started the backfill with the clean rock here, and the problem I had was after a couple times of driving over it with the machine, it was actually starting to float up. Basically, the rock would get underneath the pipe and the pipe would rise. So can't be having that. We got to keep that pipe down where it's supposed to be, and that way it's not interfering with our grade. So I got this long run stapled down real nice. I got this short run back down where it needs to be, and I'm just going to keep the stone thick on top of it until we're finished grading out. Alrighty then. I'm not showing you every single little step of the way here because I am not very proficient at doing this stuff, especially by myself, the plumbing that is. So I got the grading done yesterday, and I spent this morning putting the drain lines in for our floor drains. I got these box channel drains right here. So I'm going to be putting 3 of those in, 1 inside of each door. So I got the pipe stubbed up, and now we have to put the rest of this lasagna together. So we got gravel down now. We need to put down a plastic vapor barrier next over the entire floor, and then I have insulation foam to go on top of that. Inside of the insulation foam, we're going to be running PEX tubing for our heated floor, and on top of that, we're going to have a wire mesh to lay down and tie together, as well as all the rebar for the crane that we put these piers in. All those rebars have to get bent down and tied into the mesh. So we still got a lot of work ahead of us. Let's get after it. So, go figure. It's really never windy down here at this property. I'm kind of low down in a valley. I really don't get much wind. It's pretty rare when things start picking up. But of course, the moment you touch a large sheet of plastic, the wind starts really whipping. So I had to fight that a little more than I probably would have had there not been wind, but we got it done. And it's supposed to get a little western tonight, I guess. I think there's a storm coming through, so I've got to get some of the foam laid down on this stuff before I can leave it for the night. Otherwise, I'll probably come back tomorrow and it'll all be in a big bunch out here in the woods somewhere, tied up in a tree. And I don't know if you guys have bought any big rolls of heavy spec plastic lately, but she's not cheap. I had one roll, I don't even remember where I had it from, but the one roll that I bought, just one roll, was 125 bucks. So I'd really rather not find this stuff tied up in a tree. Well, I think that ought to hold it down for the night. All right, let's tear some of this stuff open. Get moving on this thing. Would you looky there, boys? All right, so what is this stuff here? Well, this is a foam insulation board. And what this is gonna do is twofold. Obviously, insulation first and foremost, it's gonna keep the heat from dissipating into the ground, and it's gonna shove the heat back up through the floor. Secondly, as you can see, it has this grid format going on the top of it here. And what that's gonna do is hold the PEX piping in the foam here so that you can better lay out your PEX routing and everything, and should make for a much nicer, neater install. I've never used this stuff before. I've never done this before. I'm just gonna treat this like a laminate floor that you'd put in your house, and I'm gonna make a straight starter row all the way across the building, and then I'm gonna build out to the garage doors, and then we'll go that way. So the first little bit here is going to take some time to make sure everything's situated right, and then we should be off to the races after that. Oh yeah, this is gonna be sweet. It's also looking like it's gonna be one of those satisfying jobs that goes really quickly, and you can see some progress quickly. I'm all about seeing progress. Now, if you remember when I showed off the drain lines here, this one in particular was sticking up out of the floor a little bit, and that was because there's the 1-inch conduit underneath of it. I had to leave this pipe cheated up a little bit. So that was poor planning on my part, honestly. What I'm gonna have to do there is just cut a little bit of this foam board out from underneath there, kind of make a pocket and let the foam board sit down where it needs to be. so that we're not creating a hump here and a thin spot in the concrete. All right, so I have never done this before. There may or may not be easier ways to do this. If there are, I'd love to know them, but by the time you see this, it'll be far too late. All right, let's see what that gets us. All right, take two here. Yeah, there we go. Nice fit all the way across this time. I like it. Well, I'm eating my words. I just got off the phone with Dirt Perfect, and he used to put this stuff down all the time, and he said just run it straight, it's easier. So, sounds right. Alrighty, well, I got the foam all knocked out here. Everything is laid in and all clicked together pretty nice. I'm pretty darn happy with that. I guess it's time to start laying down the PEX line. I tossed the manifold up on the wall over there just for the moment. That's not a permanent location. I'm probably going to drop it down lower once the floor is all said and done, but it's up and out of the way for now, and that gives me plenty of slack, and I'll be able to pressurize it and keep pressure in it as we pour the concrete. And that's how you know you don't have any holes in it. You got to keep an eye on that pressure gauge. So we're getting close now. All we have to do is finish up putting this PEX on the floor, and then I'm going to put the wire mesh down on top of that, and then bend all this rebar for these piers, and we are going to be ready to pour. So here's my PEX pipe for the in-floor heat here. This is 3 900-foot spools of oxygen barrier PEX tubing. It's a bit chilly out here today, so I've had it laying out in the sun for a couple hours here, hoping it increases our workability of this stuff. So I guess it's no time like the present. I'm gonna start trying to work this stuff into the floor. Well, started trying to roll this PEX out myself, and this was as far as I got. I just cut that one run and didn't get it super far. So I tried a couple different things here. That roll is awful bulky. It's not super heavy, but it's bulky. And trying to just manually like roll it out and then clip in the wires by with just one person, pretty tough. So I threw this thing together real quick, just threw a rake through there and the sawhorses. But trouble is you try to pull it out and it just it does that thing and it won't like really unravel correctly. So in like 20 minutes with just some scrap wood I had laying around here, I built this thing. So yeah. Yeah, I figured this might be a problem on account of this roll being already opened. The next two rolls, still banded up. I think I'll be able to put them on here a lot easier. This one's kind of fighting me. See, the inner part of the spool shrunk down a little too much. Doesn't want to go over the thing here. Don't want to force it and break it either. So we're just going to give that a shot and see what it does. Oh, this little spool thing's working great. This is fantastic. Man, oh man. That was actually pretty fun to install. That's been the first thing in this whole process that I've really enjoyed doing. It's just very satisfying. Like, all the lines are so nice and neat. And it makes this really awesome little patterns, the way you have to snake the lines around and run it and everything. It was just a good time. Look how, oh my goodness, it's beautiful, isn't it? It's like a work of art. Now, the manifold is higher than it will be once the concrete and everything's done. When we actually finish everything out, I'll probably drop that manifold down to about 2 or 3 feet off the floor, and we'll tidy up all those pipes when we do that. But man, I think it really turned out great. This foam was worth every dollar that it cost over regular foam, just for the ease of installation in this pipe. And it really just looks impressive. This foam made installation so simple. It almost looks like I know what I'm doing, and I assure you, I do not. This was my first time putting this stuff down by myself. I've been around it a few times, but I've never actually put my hands on the stuff and done the job. So this was a first for me, and I tell you what, a guy could do this really quick. Like, if you did this every day, you could have knocked this whole thing out in one day, easy, especially if you had an extra set of hands. Stuff like this. I mean, my scrap wood twirler that I built here, this thing worked fantastically. I could not have done this job without this thing. And I literally built that thing in like 10 minutes off camera with literal scrap wood that was just laying around here. I didn't cut one single whole board for that. It was just junk. And so for my first time, I think I did pretty darn good. I'm quite happy with it. So what do we have left to do before we can pour concrete? Well, the first thing we'll have to do is go around with a piece of pipe and bend down all of this rebar. We're gonna bend that out in every direction here to engage the slab with our crane piers, and that'll give us extra stability with the piers. After that, we're going to go ahead and bring in all the wire mesh rebar, which I'm told that I don't even need, but I'm doing it just for giggles. You know, you got one shot at this, you might as well do it right. So I'm going to bring in all of that, and I'm going to lay it down, tie it all together, and then all we'll have to do is throw up a couple boards across the doors and where the back walls are going to go, and we will be set. So I'm basically just going to stick a pipe over these rebar and bend them down in the fashion that I want. Yeah. So the problem that we have now is that the bend isn't high enough for me to get the leverage to bend this down with pipe. So I got to bend it down with my foot. And we're still up too high in the concrete. So on the next ones, we're going to have to space the pipe up higher and then make our bend. So now I can probably do this. Yeah. It's crude, but it's effective. That's it right there. That's exactly what I want it to look like when I'm done here. That is going to provide a really awesome bite for that new concrete to get a hold of that pier and make it join forces. Got all of our candy canes back there that are protruding, making all those loops. Those are going to really let that new concrete anchor in really well. And even just the rough surface finish of these piers will provide a good adhesion surface for the new concrete to really bite into. And I'm also going to pick up some bonding agent before we pour. I'm going to spray these pier tops with bonding agent. But yeah, that looks good. We just got 7 more piers to do like that, but I think I figured out my little system here, so we should be able to bend these things up in a hurry. Well, with all the rebar finally bent up into place, we are ready to start throwing some of these heavy wire mesh panels in here. My concrete guy assures me that I don't even need to do this, but I think I said before, you get one shot at a concrete floor, so there's no I shoulda, coulda, woulda. I'm better off to just spend the, I think it was like 1,100 bucks for this. So in the grand scheme of things, it's cheap insurance. Let's just get it in there and have that extra strength to the floor. These panels are 5 by 10 foot, so this actually goes pretty quick. You just got to make sure you got a little bit of overlap on each one. So we'll be able to throw a tie wire around those right there, keep those things all tied together. We'll put like 3 or 4 across each side where they overlap, and then maybe about 5 or 6 on the long side. But that's basically it. Just got to keep laying these things down. man, it is looking good in here. This is starting to look professional. All this wire mesh still needs tied together. I'm actually going out of town and I'll be back by the time you guys see this video. However, I think I'm gonna have a buddy of mine come down here that owes me a favor or 10 and get him to tie all this for me. So, the only thing we have left to do, the only thing that should be left to do now is throw a form board right across the end and across the two doors here and set my drain boxes on top of those lines there. I have those stubbed up higher than they need to be. So for both of those things, I'm actually going to wait for the concrete contractor to show up, and I'm just going to double verify elevations and stuff with him. I don't know exactly how little slope I can put on these drains, however much he's confident about putting on them. I believe he's going to be using a laser screed to do this floor so that it's perfectly level. However, it's not necessary, but it's an added little bonus that ensures a more perfect pour. Those form boards, those are super easy to put on. I can literally put that back one on in about 10 minutes. And these front ones here, I'm a little unsure of how he wants me to form them out, because I'd like to have a pocket for the garage door to sit down in, so you, even in a catastrophic windstorm down here with driving rains, we're not getting any water pushing up underneath the door. So like a 3/4 inch lip or something would be ideal, and I'm not super positive on how he wants that formed out, so it's easy for them to finish it. So those are really quick and easy. I can just pop those in there. I have all the materials to do it, and when he shows up the day before the pour, he'll go over that with me and we'll just pop those in at that time. Anyways, guys, I think that's about a wrap. The dream shop is finally coming along. I'm getting so excited. I can smell the concrete trucks pulling in here. So what's left for this thing, guys? Well, there's actually quite a bit of work left to do. As soon as the concrete guy's done, I have to get the contractor, the builder, back in here. They're gonna frame in that back wall, get that thing completely done. And then after they're gone, I can get the insulation guy and the garage door guy, get them out here, install 3 14x14 insulated garage doors that I ordered a year ago. And then we're gonna go with a 3-inch closed cell spray foam on the ceiling. We're gonna get them to spray that entire roof deck so that we have a nice, really draft-free insulation. And the roof deck is where you lose 90%, well, probably 80% of your heat anyways. And I just have R19 bats for the walls. So, but we'll burn that bridge when we come to it. Anyways, guys, I'm gonna wrap this one up here. If you like the video, do me a big favor. Hit that thumbs up button down below. Really helps out the channel, helps me to keep doing what I'm doing. And if you're not already, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future updates to the Dream Shop or any of the other projects we have going here on the channel. If you guys want some merchandise before Christmas sneaks up on us, head on over to dieselcreek.com right now and help support the channel and look good doing it. And you'll be beating the holiday rush, so you know that you'll get them on time. Last but certainly not least, if you guys like the music that I use on the channel, all that music is made for me by my buddy Vinnie over at the Semi-Supervillains. The link to his channel is always in the description. He makes every single song that you ever hear on the channel. If you go over to the community tab on the channel page, you'll see a link to his new music video. There was actually one of the songs that he made for me that I've used in a bunch of videos that we ended up liking so much that he wrote some lyrics to it, made a whole music video for it. So if you guys would, go over to his channel, check out that new music video, send him some love, tell him Diesel Creek sent you. I know that he would really appreciate that. Anyways, that's all for now. As always, thanks for watching. I will see you guys on the next one.